Welcome to the NJ Criminal Podcast.
He's here. He came to see me. He's here. He came to see you. He's in Atlantic City right now. I said, I want to be clear that we're talking about this. The guy that I gave the interview about, who took my shoes, he's in Atlantic City right now, and I'm supposed to go see him later tonight. What? So I'm at this event. So now, but my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour.
Do I call the police? What do I do?
Now, I am a younger, I'm 33, almost 34-year-old lawyer at this time. And I think in hindsight, the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office leadership at that time, it went from Jeff Blitz to Ted Housel. And I knew Ted as a, God rest his soul, as a criminal defense lawyer and then as a prosecutor. I think in hindsight, there was probably an opinion that I had hot dogged this a little bit.
Well, the press release or press conference in your office,
maybe,
it might have been a little.
Might have been a little overkill
Right.
if I look back on it. But, excuse me, I called the prosecutor's office and told them this.
Yeah, well, that's what I would have done, right? You set up a sting or whatever.
Yeah, okay. We're not interested. That person's not reliable.
Oh, they're pissed.
We're not interested. What? How are you not interested? We're not doing anything about it. Have a nice day. Okay? So I'm in Cape May. My father was with me, and I was with two other people, one of whom is a very prominent local media person, and his brother, who is at the time, was a retired Atlantic City cop, was an investigator, and utilized office space here in my office, as part of what he did professionally. I said, we can't let this happen. So I called the office back and I said, get me on the phone with her. Get her on the phone. She says, well, I already called America's Most Wanted. They're actually on their way up from Washington. I said, what? She said, yeah. Well, I called you, but I have this producer from America's Most Wanted that they're in the car. They're on their way up. I said, could you give me their number?
Right.
Gives me the number. I call. I'm the attorney, blah, blah, blah. We're on our way up. I said, where are you going to set up shop? And they said, we don't know. I said, well, why don't you come to my office? I'm on my way back from Cape May. Now.
Did you leave Cape May early?
No, we did the whole thing. It was like everything was perfect. So the investigator that I'm with says, we got to get someone to take pictures of the two of them together. He said, if you find out where she's going, I will go and I will take pictures of the two of them together. I'll get still photos. Great. He said, we also need to find out what his real name is. So maybe, he says, maybe she can buy some alcohol and maybe they can be outside drinking with an open container and I can have an Atlantic City cop go up and ask for ID. I said, great. Just
good plan.
I'm thinking all this through. So this individual is staying at a local, we'll call it a local rooming house, but I'll put it out there, at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City.
Okay, got it.
He's staying at they have the rooms up there. Mm-hmm. So this woman is going to meet him near the Irish Pub at a certain time. So before she's going to go meet him, we want to get the photos, we want to do all that, and America's Most Wanted comes up with a whole crew and a very attractive young female, correspondent, if you will. They put together a ruse because they've done a little homework, and she's not my client. Let me take that back. This woman who's in the middle of this, is telling them he's actually sitting on the porch of the Irish pub right now in a chair, having a drink, waiting for me to come, and then we're going to do whatever we're going to do. What is he wearing? She describes it. So they have the woman go in a car, mic'd up. I want to say there was a camera in the car, but I can't be certain of that, but I know there was audio. She parks her car. She goes into the Irish pub. She comes out. She tries to start her car. The car doesn't work. Young, pretty girl. She's in distress. This guy comes off the porch of the Irish pub over to help her. Meanwhile, there's nothing wrong with the car. She's just whatever. He tells her, pop the hood. She's getting a closer look. I do believe there was video. But there's certainly audio because I heard the audio.
This is the America's Most Wanted
This is
car
America's
spot?
Most
Okay.
Wanted.
All right. Okay.
By the way, this has all happened within like 6 hours of he's here, calls my office, interrupts me and Cape May. America's Most Wanted comes up from D.C. or Virginia, wherever they were, set up shop here, and they're at the Irish pub.
This is unbelievable.
It's crazy. So all of a sudden he does whatever he does under the hood, which is nothing. She starts the car. Thank you. What's your name? And he says, no problem. You can call me River, darling. Just that. That's his words. You can call me River, darling. And goes back up to the porch. Mm-hmm. America's Most Wanted comes back. They got what they wanted.
Yeah.
They got footage. They got audio. They got everything.
Now, meanwhile, where's the other?
The woman. Mm-hmm. The woman goes and does whatever she does with him. Even though she was a prostitute, she told me that her encounters with him were typically not sexual. She said he was bizarre, that he wasn't looking for that. He was looking for companionship and he was, had a thing for feet, took her shoes, etc. Okay. So America's Most Wanted packs up and goes away. This woman ends up having whatever their encounter was or wasn't, and I'm telling her, be safe.
Oh, yeah. Isn't she worried about being
She's not.
the fifth?
Because she had been with him subsequent. So she was not. She didn't believe that their relationship was like that. Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
What was it that made her think it was him?
Because she had been with this person during the time frame that the women went missing. She knew these women. They were her contemporaries out there.
Right.
When it hits that they found these bodies and that they don't have shoes,
It clicks.
I was with a guy who told me he had done these really bad things and he wanted my shoes.
Okay,
so
got it.
It gave her, this is the guy, to her. Okay. So now we are fast forward 6 months. America's Most Wanted never airs. They never air during this timetable. They have it. They're putting it together. And they're asking for help from the prosecutor's office, who will not return their phone calls. They want nothing to do with this. They think this whole thing is a stunt, whatever. Like, they're getting high-handed. Okay. So the woman comes to see me 7-8 months later. I called her the next day, 2 days later, make sure she's okay. Yeah, he's all good. He left. It's all good.
But meanwhile, your guy hasn't been charged.
My guy's not charged.
Right,
So now it's just kind of dragging on. So she shows up here one day unannounced, and she has something in her hand. And she gives it to me, and it's a card, like a greeting card. And it's got a return envelope, return address. It's got her address. It's got an address at the top. I said, what's this? She said, he sent me that. I said, who? She said, the guy sent me that. He sent you this? Yes. What is it? Open it up and look. So I open it up. It's a card. I look on the outside of the card, I just go through that and I go to the inside. There's like a little greeting, like one of the things that they put in there, like generic, but written, it says, to the woman from the man, thank you for the CD. I said, what does that mean? What CD is he referring to? She says, I gave him a DVD copy of the 48 hours that we were both on. He wanted it. You gave him that. Yes. He knew I was on it. He said he didn't see it, and he wanted me to give him my copy, so I gave it to him. So this is what he sent back. I'm thinking,
Yeah, that's odd.
this guy's now interested in the 48 hours,
Right.
not the 4 dead prostitutes. He's got the foot fetish. I'm neglecting to mention one part that is important here. We get the photos back.
From America's Most Wanted.
No, from my investigator. We get the photos back like the next day. I forgot this.
Okay.
Scruffy beard, dark sunglasses, beer belly.
The photos your investigator had taken that day he was at the Irish pub.
Correct.
Got it.
They match the story that she gave the New York Post the day after they found the bodies. But the kicker was...
Corroborating her description.
Here's the kicker, okay? Scruffy beard, beer belly. She said in the New York Post, black hat with a gold insignia. The guy was wearing a New Orleans Saints baseball hat at the Irish pub. It matched to a T. It was everything that she had said. So, can't tell you that he was the killer, but I can tell you that that's who she believed was that she had been with, who had a foot fetish, who took her shoes. So now we're back to the greeting card. I'm looking at the greeting card. To the woman from the man, thanks for the CD. She tells me that the CD is the 48 hours DVD. Another check in the box.
Right.
Close the greeting card. It's sitting on my desk. I look at it. My eyes almost fall out of my head. On the front of the greeting card are 4 angelic figures, like 4 angels.
So he chose a greeting card that had 4 angels on the front.
And we're dealing with 4 dead women. So now the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. And she keeps talking. Do you think this is important? Blah, 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 blah. And then I go to the envelope. It's got her name and her address, Atlantic City address. And then at the top, it's got his return address. Turns out that it wasn't a real address. It was postmarked from Florida. The address was not a real address. But where you would put your name, he wrote, the Riverman. Now, what's that mean? While she's sitting here, I'm Googling the Riverman. The Riverman is a documentary and a book about the Green River Killer who, in Washington, would pick up prostitutes, kill them, and dump them near and along the Green River. We had women that were found along a drainage ditch. It wasn't a river. They were
Near
alleged
body
to be
of water.
sex workers. His nickname for himself was the Riverman.
Unbelievable.
The audio with America's Most Wanted, you can call me River, darling. He's calling himself the Riverman. So, I believe this is your guy. This is him.
Right.
But nobody's paying attention because she's not credible. They've had it with me, whatever. It's
Right.
But I finally get people there to start. I'm like, you got to listen to me here.
Right.
There's a lot of things here.
And at that point in time, has the leadership changed at the Atlantic County Prosecutor's office?
It changed from Jeff Blitz, who was the original when they found the bodies. Ted Housel was now the prosecutor. All of this happened between the two of them.
Got
It
it.
changed subsequent, but everything that I'm telling you happened during that time period. But I had developed better relationships with investigators. I would hear people say, they think it's your guy. This guy swears it's not your guy. So I knew there was a little bit of a divide.
But after the passage of time, you would think that there would be a willingness to listen.
Correct. So back to the Irish pub. An Atlantic City police officer does in fact issue this person a citation. So now we've got a name. We've got a real name. That person.
Wait, that day he got a citation?
Got a citation.
Okay.
So we know we have a name. You Google the name, it appears that this person has lived in all these states, appears that there's a little bit of a criminal history, and there is, I can't remember the name of the, I think it's called ZABA, Z-A-B-A, search. So for example, you're my long lost friend from high school. You're nowhere to be found. I could go on this site and leave a message for you. You could one day maybe Google yourself and maybe you'll find the message. I find a message from this guy's daughter. We haven't heard from you in a long time. And I'm not mentioning names because I'm not going to, people that want to look this up, you can find everything that I'm telling you because it's been, this is all out there, but maybe not in this long form that we're doing now and as cohesive as this, but you could find the name, you could look all that stuff up. So we haven't heard from you in a while. So I'm like, this guy's like a drifter. He's in and out, and we started getting calls in the office as the story started to get out there from different people that knew this and knew that. I had some guy in the Atlantic County Jail admit to me that he was the one that did it. We recorded him. They didn't do anything with that because they were certain that he was lying. Just a few years ago, I had a guy from Colorado call and admit that
everybody wants to be the riverman now.
Right. And the prosecutor's office under new leadership actually sent a detective to Colorado to interview this guy who was in jail. Turns out that it wasn't him. But when you put all that together, to me, it made a very compelling argument that you should really look into this guy for whatever reason. And if they did, they certainly didn't share it with me. And I've never heard that they did. But in my opinion, he was largely ignored because I don't believe that they accepted the credibility of the woman.
Yeah, once she flipped, yeah.
She was all over the place, right? She wasn't the most reputable in the eyes of law enforcement. But I'll tell you what, with me, every time that she talked, with the exception of identifying my guy and then retracting it, every time she spoke, her stories were, they all lined up. So much to my chagrin, America's Most Wanted never aired the footage. They couldn't put a package together.
Really?
And eventually America's Most Wanted gets canceled. Doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So somewhere in some archive is that video footage of the Riverman.
Who's still likely out there.
Could be out there, could be dead. Who knows? Because you're going back 15 years. I got the impression from looking at the photo of him that he was probably at that time in his mid to late 50s, early 60s. So he wasn't a young man. He wasn't 35 years old. He was...
And had likely lived a rough life.
Likely lived a rough life. He didn't look like he was the healthiest guy there. So...
But no later sightings of him from this woman.
No, because... And now that's an interesting point. Because we get the letter. So one of these anniversaries that comes up, they're looking for something fresh. Well, I got the whole Riverman angle.
Still have the card?
I have all of it. I have all of it. And I it's funny you say that. You know, I'm the criminal defense attorney that they don't like at the time. I take the card and put it in a plastic, you know, I'm trying to, maybe the guy's fingerprints, maybe his DNA is on when he licked this state.
Well, right. Handwriting analysis.
They did come pick that up, by the way. They did come to my office. Okay. The guy that came didn't look like he was happy to be here, thanked me. He was out the door in 15 seconds, but that is in their file somewhere. But I have a photocopy of it here in my record somewhere. And I know that they would like to solve it. They call it the quad murders. That's the name that it's gotten over the years.
And there have been a number of documentaries.
A ton.
Yeah.
We've done A&E. We did something with Fox News because Fox News tried to draw comparisons between these murders and murders of women in Giglio Beach, New York.
Right. I watched a show that made that same comparison.
I thought that was a stretch. There really weren't many comparisons. They were, dead women here and dead women there.
When you started the story, I was thinking you were going to tell me it was Rudy.
No comment there. I don't think he was ever a suspect or a person of interest.
No.
But it's just one of those things that, so when you look back and you bring the whole thing full circle, as a young lawyer, yes, I get the case, and it's great because it's going to put me in the press of Atlantic City, and then it's going to get me on the Harry Hurley show, and it's going to get me on TV 40, and maybe they're going to write about it in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and before you know it, you're in the Wall Street Journal, you're on Good Morning America, you're on an A&E documentary, so on and so forth. So when you made a comment earlier about that I like the media, and I don't take that as an insult, by the way, I will tell you there's one thing to be in the press of Atlantic City and the Harry Hurley show and TV 40, and then you graduate to the Philadelphia papers. It's a whole nother ball game when you're dealing with national media.
Thanks again for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen.
For more information about criminal defense in New Jersey, go to hornerlaw.com. That's HOERNER law.com.